Welcome back to Campus Conversations. We've been talking today about the ever-expanding world of video games. Back with us is Professor Deborah Solomon, and joining us are David Versaw of Wheel Interactive, a game development company based in Potomac, Maryland, and Tom Cox from NOAA's Ocean Service, which is working with Montgomery College to develop a game with a purpose. Thanks for joining us, and welcome back, Deborah. Dave, I want to start with you. What really makes an effective game?
There's a couple different things. First is engagement, really. One of the great things about gaming and simulation is their ability to engage the audience. If you have a great engaging game or simulation, people will get into it and really become emotionally involved in the learning experience or the gaming experience. And second of all, there's a lot of different types of gaming and simulation out there. And if you are trying to create a game or have a specific purpose in mind, there are specific types of games now that are more directed toward what you're trying to accomplish. So those 2 points are probably the most important.
And if I could just give you a follow-up there, when you have young folks now coming into the workplace who have been playing with games or video applications all of their lives, how do you keep it exciting and dramatic enough for them to stay interested?
Well, you always have to be kind of out there on the cutting edge, especially for a younger audience. When they go in and they start playing, if it's realistic and experiential as possible, they will kind of become engaged in the game. And we use it at Wheel Interactive as kind of gaming and simulation, or serious games, as kind of sneaky learning, especially for an early generation, and using it as a way to get information into their head and make them retain it.
And Dave, you talk about the word engagement in gaming. I'm curious to know, how did you become engaged, so to speak, with working with Montgomery College and maybe having a connection for students in your company? And tell us a little bit about how you came to work together with the college.
Well, we have actually never done anything with the college yet. I've met Deborah before, and we've talked several times before. And we'd like to, we have an internship program which we have taken local college students in every summer. We might be able to do that with Montgomery College coming up. We try to stay active in the local community, doing things with different schools and different colleges and universities.
We're actually going to be working with NOAA to design some educational games to support their interests.
Tom, maybe you could talk a little bit about what you're hoping to accomplish with your video games and applications.
Well, we have a website, oceanservice.noaa.gov, but right now it doesn't have any of the interactive games that we're looking for. We recognize the importance of reaching out to students and teachers from across the country who are involved in games, and we want to put those games and that whole suite of areas that we're not involved in onto our website.
And what message are you hoping that people will learn about, and is the audience just the general public?
Oh, it's for everyone, and it's the oceans and coasts are important to everyone. And we want to get that to everybody in the country.
Deb, I want to talk to you a little bit about working with these employers and getting a sense of what kinds of needs there are in the community, what kinds of jobs there might be for the students afterwards. How do you go back to that word engage? How do you engage the industry to make sure that you're keeping current? This is such a new and developing program, but making sure that you're training students with the types of needs that are out there for the business community.
Well, we talk with a lot of employers about what are the critical skills that students need to succeed in the industry. And very often they mention the soft skills over the technical skills, the soft skills like teamwork and communication and problem solving as being number one. And then also, the various technical abilities that they need to have for different career tracks in the field. And we work with the employers to find out what those kind of skill sets are. And we also try to place interns, as David mentioned, with employers. We placed about 20 interns with Bethesda Softworks, and they hired about 4 of those as permanent employees. And we have a student out in California, a former student who's now, I think, an associate producer at a game company out there. So we try to get people into the industry to get that experience and bring us that feedback about, what was useful, what was not useful.
And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about some of the applications that your company, Will Interactive, has produced. I know you've worked on really a wide variety of industries and topics.
Well, we are very horizontal when it comes to our client base. We focus on behavior modification, changing people's attitudes and behaviors. We've done a lot of work with the military and the government, teaching soldiers on topics such as lessons learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, explosive ordnance disposal, forward support company training, a lot of those type of aspects in the military we've done programs on where soldiers actually become lead characters in almost like an interactive movie. And based on the decisions they make, the movie branches off in different directions and shows the consequences of the decisions they make. Then we've done a lot of work in the law enforcement area on training FBI crisis negotiators. We do a lot of work in education as well, mainly middle school, high school age kids, allowing them to make good decisions regarding a lot of the social issues of drugs, alcohol, relationships, school violence, those type of areas. So we've kind of dabbled around in a lot of different marketplaces.
And certainly very current issues with the soldiers and so forth.
Yeah.
Tom, you talk about wanting to bring the talents or the kind of energy that comes from being able to have an interactive experience, you know, when you come to a website.
Right.
What is the thing that you hope that kind of transition, the way you're educating people, will do for Ocean's Weather Service?
Well, to bring people into the kinds of things that we're promoting, and that oceans and coasts are very important to everyone. You know, it seems to me that if you're around this area, you're pretty aware of what is going on in the oceans and coasts. But if you get into the heartland of America, and we were out in the Iowa State Fair last week, there's some people, what do the oceans have to do with me? And so we're trying to promote that to everyone.
So you're bringing the oceans to people that maybe have never even had the experience of having been to the ocean.
But you know, sometimes people can live but 5 miles away from the oceans, and they don't know the importance of the coasts and the oceans to them.
That's amazing to think about. Yeah.
And NOAA educates kids on topics like, you know, what causes hurricanes to form, and what does, you know, rising sea temperatures, what does that do to coastal reefs? And those kinds of very interesting topics are a perfect fit for video games, especially when you're teaching kids and reaching out to kids, because they're things that are interesting. I mean, we all want to know, you know, what is going on with hurricanes, right? And how do we keep the waters safe and clean and maintain the health of the oceans?
Deborah,